Here is the Snowpack and weather outlook for May 24th, 2013. Here are the snow water equivalent values based on the percent of average for each basin from Friday, May 24th. As a reminder, this graph is an indication of how much snowpack is left on the ground compared to the average snowpack typically seen on this date. As a result, this graph is highly correlated to the amount of runoff that has occurred in each basin. All basins except the northern basins have seen decreases this past week. The largest deficits continue across the southern basins, which are now below 20% of average for this date. Here are the year-to-date precipitation numbers based on the percent of average for each basin from Friday, May 24th. As a reminder, compared to the previous snow water equivalent graph, this graph shows how much precipitation has fallen this year in each basin compared to the average for this date. These total precipitation values do not take into account the impact of runoff. The best conditions continue across the north with close to 95% of average precipitation. The worst conditions were across the south with 68% of average precipitation. These numbers are pretty close to the values from a week ago. Here's a map showing the forecasted upper level winds at 500 millibar pressure level or an altitude of approximately 18,000 feet. A closed low over the Pacific Northwest will dominate our weather pattern through the weekend and will continue into Monday. By Tuesday, the broad trough of low pressure is forecasted to move east into the Great Basin region with a trough of low pressure remaining over the Intermountain West Wednesday through Friday. The track of this system moving across the forecast area later in the week has less confidence, with some models keeping the track farther north of the forecast area. So what can we expect? Based on the current forecast, breezy conditions with dry and warm weather continuing through Tuesday with a gradual cooling trend. Expect the potential for critical fire weather conditions to continue through this period. Expect more dust transport with this increased southwest flow continuing into early next week. There will be an increasing threat of shower and thunderstorm activity developing by the middle of the week, with more seasonably cool temperatures returning to the forecast area. Here's a map showing the precipitation forecast through next Friday, May 31st. Expect a dry pattern setting up through the weekend with an increasing threat of showers and thunderstorm activity developing by the middle of the week, which may provide some relief to the latest round of dry, windy, and unseasonably warm weather that has occurred across the forecast area. There is a lower confidence with the predicted aerial depiction and amounts presented in this graphic based on the uncertain track of the trough as it moves across our area later in the week, and the uncertain spatial distribution of convective precipitation associated with thunderstorms. Expect warm temperatures continuing into early next week with a gradual cooling trend. Here are the high temperatures expected on Wednesday, May 29th, which are near normal and should be a good indication of what to expect for the second half of next week. So here is the outlook for the upcoming week. Dry southwest flow will continue into early next week. We will see seasonably warm temperatures with dry and breezy conditions, which may produce some dust transport. The potential for critical fire conditions will continue. Unsettled weather will develop by midweek with temperatures cooling to near normal and an increased threat of showers and thunderstorms developing. Snowpack will see faster melt due to sunny conditions and warm temperatures, and we'll see rises in some rivers and streams due to snowmelt, but expect flows to stay below flood stages. That concludes the Snowpack and weather outlook for May 24, 2013.